as a startup company, we think it's really important to have any credibility that supports us grow our brand, especially cross-continentally. So Made in Britain's great for supporting that.
I'm Matt Stadlen, and this is Made in Britain UnPacked, the series where we tell the stories of British manufacturers. And I am delighted to say that here with me today in Glasgow is Ginny Heggie, the Chief Executive of Ergon Equine. And Ergon Equine make trees for saddles, basically, in everyday language, the frames for horses' saddles. In really simple terms, explain to us what this is that you make.
Sure, so as you say, it's a tree, it's a frame for a saddle. This tree is particularly useful for our customers because it gives them a consistent symmetrical tree that's easy to work with. They can also choose whether they receive it as a single finished unit or they receive it in a kit of parts, for example. So they can have the tree stock however best suits their business requirements. And the supply chain is really controllable and dependable, so they can schedule their stock for as and when they need it.
You're business to business.
Yep.
And so if I were a business and I were buying this, then would I put the leather around it myself?
Yeah, that's right. So you would take it as the main ingredient of your cake, if you like. You would attach foams and whatever finishing in terms of the comfort you want for your rider to have, and then you clad that in leather, and then it becomes a saddle and onto the customer.
And I think that the starting point for this business, which you joined a few years ago, was to make life better for horses, to improve the partnership, if you want to say it, between the rider and the horse. And so the ultimate aim is what? To turn this into something that is not fixed, is that right?
Well, that is a product we have in the pipeline. So we have another product in the pipeline called the Biotree system, which has a dynamic interface that attaches to the underside of this static interface, and that moves with the horse. It lets the horse move in a pattern that's much more familiar to its natural gaits, and it also distributes load effectively throughout the available contact surface area. For this product, it is highly adjustable from front to back, so you can see these parts can be cut down. This part comes in 7 different sizes, and this comes in different sizes. It is also the only tree in the market where there's a mechanism inset into this part, which is called the cantle, which changes the curvature through the rear section to any point within a 14mm range. So for saddle makers and saddle fitters, it gives them a frame that's very tailorable, so they can tailor it to meet the exact fit requirements of their horse and rider customers.
And you're a British manufacturer.
Yep.
That is, I imagine, an important part of the deal for you.
Yep. Manufacturing in Britain was absolutely essential to us because it gives us quality control that we just feel we wouldn't have if we'd offshored, and so far it's been a brilliant choice. British manufacturing historically is obviously, very consolidated, and it's Britain's a real stronghold for manufacturing, but even more than that, it's actually a traditional stronghold or historic stronghold of saddle making. So it's really important for us to be able to leverage from that British identity, and I think it's synonymous with quality and expertise and consistency, and that's something that's very, very important for us to deliver to our customers.
And how many of these trees or frames of saddles would you make in a year at the moment, roughly? So
at the moment, I would say conservatively we're in the hundreds, and we're hoping to go up to obviously several thousand units, and that is where injection molding is so helpful to us. Traditionally, a lot of these types of frame are made from wood, and there can be all sorts of problems with supply chain and symmetry of the product, just because of it's made from a natural material, right? And it's man-made. Whereas with this, it allows us to have a really controllable supply chain, and we can scale up and down as we need to.
You're an exporter.
Yes.
So not just in Britain are your products bought, but also in Europe and beyond?
Yep, we have customers already as far afield as New Zealand, and Europe's actually our main customer base. So very, very important, exporting is the central part of our business. And as a startup company, we think it's really important to have any credibility that supports us grow our brand, especially cross-continentally. So Made in Britain's great for supporting that.
Do you have a message, Ginny, for people who might be thinking about it, going into manufacturing, specifically going into British manufacturing?
Maybe it would just be to look at all the options really, really carefully, which I'm sure everyone would do anyway. And for us, cost was an important factor, but control was the most important factor. So as I mentioned earlier, we find that manufacturing in Britain just lets us, it's so important to be able to go easily and see your product. And for this, which is assembled off-site from our headquarters as well, we need to be able to keep consistent tabs on the quality control and how things are going out, and having it in Britain lets us do that.
Ginny Heggie, brilliant to hear your story. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Matt.